Today, I'm going to be talking to Rob Worthing, and I'll just turn it over to Rob quickly so he can introduce himself. So go ahead, Rob.
Thanks, Anthony. I'm Rob Worthing. I'm with an outfit called Tenkara Guides LLC out of Salt Lake City, Utah. We only guide fixed line fly fishing in Tenkara, and we've been around for 10 years now. Host the Oni School each year at Robert Redford Sundance Resort, among other activities. And one of my primary roles the last couple of years, since I actually moved slightly east, is traveling around and giving lectures and demonstrations and miniature schools, kind of all through the Midwest and East Coast. I'm also a doctor by day and do a lot of rock climbing and backpacking, and generally just try and spend as much time outside of the house as possible.
Here. So I guess I'll start by asking you, Rob, for the new year, are there any different, I don't know, rigging or different techniques or different types of water that you're looking at kind of tackling or perfecting, that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, that's an interesting question. I hadn't really thought about that. I think you and I both are enjoy being really cerebral about our fishing and enjoy reading and enjoy talking to as many people as possible, and thinking about it, and I think both of us, that's just part of what we really enjoy about the game of fly fishing. And other people approach it from a different way, but answering the question, I think I'm just really desperate to travel again. And see some new water. I'm now located in Lexington, Kentucky, and it's a great jumping off point to a lot of places in the United States. It's very centrally located. But I haven't been able to travel in 2020, and so in 2021, I'm just looking forward to seeing and going to new waters. All kinds of new waters. I want 2021 and beyond to be as diverse an experience as possible, and sort of apply what I've learned and so far, and hopefully polish and pick up new stuff. I am kind of in an interesting situation right now where I'm searching for sort of the next good question to ask. I try to sit down and think a lot about asking a good question, meaning one that's really going to lead to a utilitarian answer. And right now I don't have a question to ask myself. I've devoted a lot of time to Tenkara methods. I've devoted a lot of time to fixed line nymphing methods. Studied the competition systems, studied European nymphing systems, and I use those quite a lot. I've done drop shot stuff in the past. I don't really use it anymore. I just personally prefer the elegance of not having to carry tungsten putty and split shot and the like. That stuff rattling around on my waist pack just never always kind of bugged me. But that's me. So I've read all the major stuff in English that I can kind of identify, and I'm at a point where I feel like I'm getting into, as far as the tradition of fly fishing literature, and I feel like I'm at a point now where I'm getting into a lot of just eclectic, so I'm looking for eclectic texts.
Okay.
And I don't know how useful that is or how interested it's gonna keep me. So I'm kind of looking for the next question right now. And I figure in 2020, 2021 and beyond, the way to find that question is to, is to do as much traveling as possible and go to as many different waters and meet as many people as possible.
I'm just excited to get back out to the driftless, and I've had such good luck out there, And but there were places that I didn't. There were certain places that I would avoid the last couple times I was out there. It's mainly the flat, sort of dead sections of water, and because I was mostly Tenkara fishing, and that's the kind of water when I Tenkara fish, I just pass up because I just have never found a great way to fish it with Tenkara gear. Um, so that flat dead water, whether it's deeper and still and hardly moving, or it's the edges of streams where the brown trout lay, in the spring creeks, they'll stick up next to those edges often. And again, not great Tenkara water. That edge fishing, because often I'm stuck fishing straight upstream, and the only way to retrieve line is to lift your rod, which is real limited. So I've been doing a lot of rod and reel fishing for that, in that kind of water. So one of my goals for this year is to take two fixed line rods with me, one rigged up for long line and one for short line fishing. And I figured that'd be pretty easy to swap out, back and forth. So this year I want to try that a little bit and try to tackle some of that difficult water with fixed line gear, as well as just continue to explore it with rod and reel.
Yeah, we're both going to be up in the Driftless in May, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I actually, it looks like I'm going to have to make a trip out to Billings, Montana that I wasn't planning on. But it might allow me to drift to fish the oh geez, the Black, what is it, the Black
Oh,
Hills,
Black Hills.
Dakota. Yeah, and I've never fished South Dakota before, so that
Yeah.
might be kind of cool. So there's my new water.
Cool.
But yeah, I actually, when I moved to Kentucky, I was forced to learn how to fish some of that super slow, if moving at all,
Right.
and super gin clear water. I've got a couple of photos of that. One photo, I'm in like 100-yard sort of bowl of a pool that's probably 15 feet deep in the middle, and I'm standing waist deep in it, and just crystal clear water, completely still. Another one, I'm standing waist deep, looking down into a separate creek, and it's so still and so clear that you can actually count the crayfish, the stonefly, the everything else around my boot. Just really really difficult situation.
Yeah.
And so I did. I was forced to kind of get some of that experience. I'll tell you what I when you talk about, like, thinking about times when you haven't been successful, the times when I have less success. For example, a recent trip to southern North Carolina that a couple of us took. The last day I had less success because I went way or a little bit up canyon, and there just weren't any fish. Down canyon, it wasn't a problem. We didn't go that far. I mean, it's a 10-mile watershed, and we were fishing the base, probably 4 miles with great success. And then as soon as we got up into the canyon, it just dropped off completely, and I really didn't expect that. Walking and not even spooking fish, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I had to think. I mean, we tried a couple of different techniques, and it wasn't just me. It was, there was somebody with me, and we were, swapping back and forth, making sure we were trying different things. And I was confident enough that we should have, we had enough time to experiment. I figure we should have hit on something.
Yeah.
And we just didn't. And so it made me think about, start to think about fish migration again, and seasonal fish migration. And I thought, well, man, I haven't looked at that in a really long time, and I've got a couple, new resources, people that I've met, clients and just people that have stopped by and or been in the audience and in lectures that I've given to different clubs, that have additional background in fisheries and wildlife and fisheries biology and the like. And so I'm kind of thinking maybe that there's a good question in there somewhere. And then another thing that when you said that you had less experience um, on some of that flat small flat slow water, I think one thing that I don't have that I have relatively limited experience with is really difficult dedicated trout spring streams, like some of what I hear you have in Pennsylvania there. And I don't, we had a few out west, but I didn't feel like they were very necessarily difficult, at least when
Yeah.
I fished them. And so I'm looking for that. That's actually a hole for me in my experience. It'd be nice to come up to PA and visit you and maybe try and look for that difficult spring creek.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely need to do that. I think we can find some difficult places to fish, and yeah, and that fish migration thing, that you're talking about too. I've experienced that on these streams even, and I know they're not moving. They're not necessarily moving miles up and downstream, but they're just moving back, and they're moving to different water types. Folks that can get out and fish the same stream day after day, even once a week over the season, I think that's such a great chance to see where fish move and where they are seasonally. And I know being an angler that has to drive an hour or more to get to trout streams, I definitely, that's a hole in my fishing too, where are fish moving, and seasonally, or even day to day as conditions change. And that's where I think some of the older literature, like when you read some of that old stuff from, the 1800s or early night, those guys that would go and fish like every day, like some of the stuff they seems a little out there, but you got to believe that there's good information in there, because they were just fishing the same beat like day
Yeah,
after day, and seeing the way fish will behave with, how some of those books have, well, use this fly when the sky looks this way, and this, like they're
right.
very specific, and I would tend to write that stuff off, as but maybe there's more, you got to think maybe there's more to some of that than I want to believe, I don't know.
Yeah. No, man, that's a great point. You're right. Those guys, it's difficult to find even guides now that have that much experience on a single waterway, a single beat of a single waterway, literally every day
Yeah,
for an entire career. If you read that literature and keep in mind the context of that particular stream or that particular beat, then all of a sudden, if you interpret what's said in the landscape of that particular waterway, then I do think I agree with you that there's infinite amounts of wisdom to be picked up there.
yeah, yeah,
And then you just have to keep that context,
right,
in mind when you travel. Um, and sometimes you come across places that are very similar, or conditions that are similar, and all of a sudden that infinite wisdom becomes just fantastically useful.
yeah. All right, Rob. I don't want to I want to give you last chance to comment, and then I just don't want to drag this on for too long. And I think
Yeah.
actually it was really fun, and I think we should probably maybe do it again, and after we've later in the year, after we've had a chance to fish some, and kind of do some experimentation and exploration.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to follow up
Yeah,
on what we said and see if we sort of accomplished or got any further
did
towards
anything.
thoughts on 2021.
Yeah, yeah. So if you want any last comments, and then we'll sign off.
Not not really. I just appreciate every time I get a chance to talk to you. Honestly, I'm very appreciative of it. Not only do I really enjoy it, but I always seem to benefit from it and leave excited. To go pick up a book or tie some flies or get outside. And,
Cool, excellent. Yeah,
I think that's what it's all about.
same thing, Rob. I love talking to you. I always get, after we're done talking, yeah, I'm always thinking, and it motivates me to do something, to do more. So excellent. And I just want to say to everyone who's watching, thanks, and I hope to do some more of these. And thank you, Rob, for helping out and participating in this first one.
Yeah. Thanks, Anthony. See
All
you
right.
next time.
Yeah.